activate different parts in the mind, you bring these things into play in resolving the problems in the 3D world so that you can manifest from your God self your best life.
Mm.
The one who can pull the most people in pursuit of their best life to agree that we all should be able to live our best life creates a critical mass of people who rebel against the side of the society that say that you have to live your life according to the conditions of a corporate legal fiction.
Mm.
A legal fiction can never generate a society to satisfy the soul of an infinite being. So it's going to create defects at a low vibrational level that can
Mm.
be corrected from a higher vibrational understanding at that level,
Right, right.
right? So when we take the mastermind test, they tell us it's a board game. So rules are spread out in the board games. Learn the board games. And is told in a nursery rhyme. Wherever you hear rhymes spoken, keys are given in secret in the public domain, in your face, behind your back.
Mm.
Because if you can read the music, the story can be told without two people ever meeting face to face in
Mm.
order to relay a message across time and space.
Mm. Okay.
Right? So what
Mm.
we doing is we monopolizing the nature of a hologram,
Mm.
right? The hologram, the microparticle of it is all of the same information as the entire hologram itself. So when we look at the construct, we know that we are coming from a light formation called Metatron's cube.
Mm.
Metatron's cube is talked about as the star of life in the book of in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
Mm.
And we know the star of life to be a 3D geometric formation of the Magen David or the Shield of David.
Mm.
But that's the false part because it's actually the seal of Solomon. And the 5 point star, the pinnacle, is the seal of David. And David is the king of all kings. And the king of all kings left his kingdom to Solomon. And Solomon was the wisest of them all. And now one wiser than Solomon comes. That's what the book say. So the riddles that they gave us to unravel the mystery is tied up in the story of Solomon and his pursuit to wisdom, and it ties directly into the hero's journey of the great heroes of the ages in the mythologies. So while they was giving us his story, our elders was putting together mythologies that held mysteries that concealed my story, and my story is the rules of engagement in order to reclaim the kingdom for the righteous and to remove the imposters from the land. And so when you follow the blueprint, and the blueprint teaches you growth and development, and in your growth and development, you start to realize that you can conquer your vices. And when you conquer your vices, you have developed to a level of self discipline where you can now be fit to teach self discipline beyond the reaches of the self because you did the self work, the battle with the dark side of the self, the chaotic self that we need to temper with the golden heart in order to make it shine in a righteous formation in order to guide others. So that's why I say, keep not your candle under the wicker basket, but let your light shine that the world may see it. In other words, you have to tell what you know that's going to benefit the most people if you understand what you know and how the people can benefit from it. So the rules that developed from learning the board games and the meaning of the words and the meaning of expressions and how to read the art in the community, which became reading the graffiti that was written on the wall. And the book said, and he was reading the writing from the wall. The graffiti tells me where the tribes identified from and how I can recognize them on the land. They
Mm.
call it tagging,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the tagging is the writing on the wall that's written in the symbolisms that tells us which tribe is in which part of the land, because we didn't used to fly flags. We used to rock totem poles that gave the same information that the tribes give off today in the graffiti that they call the tags. And the tags identify the connections across the land and who's related to who and who belong where at the close of the age. So it all tells itself. So you don't have to tell the story. You can just read it from the script that's written in creation, or what we say was written in the hieroglyphs or the Medu Neter. And the Medu Neter is the words of God, the words of the Neter, which spoke things into fruition, which means they gave the weight and density to the words that empowered the throat chakra to exercise the exceptional insight, as Ryan Karinga wrote, the Husia, authoritative utterances, exceptional insight, which allows the people to see deeper into themselves in order to find their way from freedom from the bondage of an artificial system masquerading as a government. I hope I wasn't too much at one time.
Nah, I mean, whew, wow, that was now I'm just sitting back learning and listening. Definitely powerful. Let me ask you this, brother. So, we are, let's say we are pre-creation deities, before creation, before the sun, moon, and stars, as I believe the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Um, what relationship, what was we doing before creation? What was our purpose before? Or did we just exist in this void before creation? Was it boring before creation? Talk to me about life pre-creation for the primordial beings.
Okay, so when we talk about creation, we're talking about the three-dimensional matrix and the Big
Yes.
Bang scenario
Yes.
in the sudden emergence of physical matter
Mhm.
into existence that people may exist as a physical being,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what we looking at is a grand design,
Mhm.
right? The grand design, you have to be outside of the creation if you are the creator,
Mhm.
right? But in this case, the creation takes place within the self,
Mhm.
right? So remember, the torsion fields are cycles within cycles folding in upon themselves.
Mhm.
We are torsion field like the apple in the hologram.
Right.
We just a part of the whole. So before creation, we was outside of the hologram. We were pure consciousness,
Mhm.
right? And as pure consciousness, we was what you call a whole like being.
Mhm.
In modern times, they call it a spirit being, right? The whole like being is the part of the self that is projected into the physical form that animates you as your body goes through the process of metabolism,
Mhm.
the burning in the breath.
Mhm.
So you always have to inhale oxygen in order to exhale the carbon as it is consumed. It's a it's an energy exchange taking place at every level, because the same process of energy conversion that the human body goes through, the atom itself goes through the same process. And when we draw out and look at the universe, it goes through the same process. So when we examine the self, we looked at what we made of at our simplest levels, the cellular level. At the cellular level, we made of crystalline amino acids in a double helix with a sizable portion inactive called junk DNA. And we understand that the unveiled matrix is the matrix in the mitochondrial, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It become a step down capacitor when you condense stardust into a human body in order not to cause spontaneous human combustion, because too much light will burn you from the inside out if you can't control it. So the conditions in the person's life is according to their temperament, and it's the temper, as the temperance card in the tarot, their ego, so that it can be purified to facilitate the full um, embodying of the higher light body into the physical form without the chaotic resistance of the carbon based ego, right? Once the whole light being becomes conscious in the physical body, your awareness of the entire hologram, you see it. So the scientists explain it using physics and metaphysics. The mystics use mysticism and uh, what's that other term? The mystics use mysticism and metaphysics to teach the same thing. Now, when you look into the human training process, every field of learning, when you get to a certain level, you end up into some form of metaphysics, quantum physics, or mysticism, or something of that sort, what we call the occult. The occult is the things that the average layperson will never have the time to properly consume to activate those faculties of consciousness that's at rest within that person, right? Because the humdrum of the day-to-day life is the distraction so that somebody else can harvest their energy, and it's like you over hijacking another person's avatar in the video game,
Indeed.
and you making their avatar do what you want them to do,
Hmm.
right? The only way to remedy that is to find all of the what Bobby Hemmings talked about, spirit artificial, right? He said, if in one of his lectures, he said this counterfeit spirit is still on the earth, but it was here long before what they call white people. And he said, I'm gonna tell you something else. And this was a shocker for me. He said that these folks, they look just like us. Half of them still in Africa to this day, doing that motherfucking destructive conjure work in order to steal the blessings of the righteous and subjugate them in order to hijack their avatars. So then, in computer terms, they put in a hard drive that holds um, a series of binary codes that clears out the bugs in the computer and call it virus protection. This become the old souls that understand how the system worked from its creation, because the old souls was there from the earliest creation. And this takes us to the Lovecraft Necronomicon, and the story is told as a fiction, but it's actually the ancient conjure, and it actually is a living sigil packet, and how to activate it and use it the same as you use an app on your phone, except you using a spiritual app in order to develop a function in the physical realm from the spiritual realm that you already supposed to be tapped into.
You talking about H.P. Lovecraft?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, right. Damn, this powerful, man.
So they scattered the pieces around. My job was to find the scattered pieces and bring them all together. And people came from far and wide to give me little pieces to the puzzle, right? And I had to keep track of all of the pieces to the puzzle in order to put it together. So my mother preloaded me on doing puzzles when I was little because she used to always want me to do puzzles with her,
Mm, excellent.
right? So I see the puzzles in all forms now, and now I can read the ticker in the matrix, so to speak. So when I be talking about stuff, I be talking about it like I'm reading that ticker from the matrix.
Mm. Mm. Well, well, in terms of, let me put the camera back. Yeah, like I said, I'm just, I'm amazed in listening to you speak, my brother. Always amazing information when you're on here. Once again, shout out to everybody that is in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. We have an amazing show so far, and we're gonna continue. We'll be on here for about half an hour more, 45 minutes. So enjoy yourself here while we're here, family. Rod Hayes. So I asked you about what we call Big Mama. Now you talk a lot about Inky and Enlil and the Anunnaki. Um, these lesser gods, since we all come from this infinite intelligence, where did they get their jealousy from? Where did they get their envy from? Where did they get these traits from? Being that we all come, we're this hologram. You said the piece of the hologram contains all hologram, so we're just as we got the same amount of power as the entire hologram. I mean, we just appear to be small, but we're really big in stature. Where did they get this inferiority complex from, Rod Hayes, to do all this shit? Because they
It's
seem to be intelligent.
the same thing as to ask in the Sega Genesis game. Mike Tyson is Ironhead,
Mm,
and he the hardest character in the game to beat.
mm,
So you asking that question is like asking why is the character Ironhead the hardest character to beat?
mm, mm.
It's the same question value.
Got you.
And the reason is because it's programmed that way.
Mm.
There's no other reason because if we living in a holographic simulation, we living in a program.
Got you.
And if we living in a program, we got to continuously upgrade the software in order for the program to remain current. It's the same with computers. It's the same as with the human mind. Our human minds is reduced to lesser thinking with base gossip in order to keep us from ever thinking about more complex questions, and they make us think that we wrong if we ask questions in the society that go against the standard or the norm.
Mm. Definitely. How long does this program, Big Mama, allow this program to go on? Like we said, we keep going through these cycles, the age of Kali, the let's say the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces, then the civilization rises, civilization falls again, then it rises again and falls again. Does this go on for infinity? Does Big Mama allow this universal program to go on to infinity? Or do you think does this eventually end according to the ancient texts?
It's a training simulation.
Mm,
Okay, so when you go to the laws of Mott, we know that the whole goal is to find the balance,
mm,
right? Now, if what happens to a star when it loses its balance in real life, according to our understanding of astrology?
what happens?
It goes supernova.
mhm,
right? It can no longer hold on to its own energy.
mhm,
In the human form, we learning how to control our energy in an accelerating learning program
mhm, mhm,
by going through a couple of lifetimes of refining the balancing mechanisms from different angles, right? That's being influenced by different angels,
mhm, mhm,
right? And they are teaching you how to control your light body matrix. And you, once you do that, you become your own neutron star
mhm,
in the galaxy, and you become the god in that galaxy universe you create. And to do it all over again to determine um how to refine the balancing of the overall universe in the end.
mhm,
So when we look at the polarization of outer space, we're looking at something called the red shift and the blue shift.
mhm, mhm,
One is drawing things ever closer to the center, and another is pulling everything furthest to its outer reaches,
mhm,
right? They
mhm,
call it the red shift and the blue shift.
mhm,
It's taking place at simultaneously in the same matrix.
mhm,
So this creates the two opposing forces, and you need two opposing fixed points in order to establish the base for making the hologram. And they have to be able to to scan, um, for lack of a better way of explaining it, longitude to latitude, and from prime meridian to prime meridian, like an X-ray, right? And then you look at it externally as from us outside of the creation in order to know how you should perceive your inner world by looking inward, then looking back out. It's a comparative analysis of your inner development of your own personal soul so that you can purify your ego and become more um, like it's like graduating high school going to university, right? When you awaken in the matrix, now you graduated. Once you graduate, now you go to university for higher education. And in the meantime, you have a period between the two where you enjoy